Under the agreement, the new plant could make as many as 100 million doses a year. Does that mean Canada gets first dibs on those doses? Patricia Gauthier is Moderna Canada's general manager. She's in Montreal. Well, Patricia Gauthier, I'd like to start with your choice of Montreal. Why is Moderna picking Montreal to be the home of this new manufacturing plant?
So that's a great question. And I can say, first and foremost, there was great interest across the country. I mean, Canada has many, many great options to offer. And we spoke with all the provinces that were interested. We went through a thorough selection process, had many selection criteria. And we did make a decision about the Greater Montreal, the province of Quebec. And it was based on many, many factors. Amongst a few include the life science ecosystem, the talent pool, the collaboration with universities, the support the government is offering, and so on and so forth. So it was not an easy decision, but a really happy decision.
When you say the support the government is offering, is there financial investment or support here from the federal government or the government of Quebec that sealed the deal for Moderna to do this?
So we're finalizing the financial aspects as was mentioned this morning. But when I say support, I mean, it's in kind, it's collaboration, we're small in Canada. There's 15 of us. So we'll need help just even navigating what are the different processes we need to take and things like that. So I think that collaboration is more fulsome. The support is more fulsome than purely financial.
Okay, so the announcement today was that it will be in Montreal, though the actual specific location and site is still to be determined. Can you give us a sense of how quickly we're going to see this in operation and what size of a workforce we're going to see when you're finally operating here?
Our goal is to have a facility in 2024 that would be making vaccines at that point. However, I mean, that will depend on construction timelines and also regulatory approval. I mean, we're building a factory to make vaccines, so there will be a thorough regulatory approval. And in terms of workforce, we're estimating that there will be hundreds of jobs created from construction to operations. And from an operations standpoint, we're looking at about 75 employees in time of normal production and up to 150 should there be a pandemic in the future.
Okay, so hopefully there isn't a pandemic in the future, but just to look at the pandemic that we're sort of in and the urgency in the early days of this. I mean, Canada obviously in a much better situation when it comes to vaccine supply now than in 2021, for example. But in the early days of this, in the early days of the vaccination program, there's a lot of concern about vaccine nationalism and would Europe stop shipments of Moderna product in particular to places like Canada. So by setting this up in Montreal, has it secured a priority access in future if there are future pandemics to necessary vaccines? Is that sort of protection and priority built into this?
So I'm glad you asked because first and foremost, the announcement today is about pandemic preparedness. And what we've learned a lot in the past 2 years, and we want to crystallize these learnings, and we don't want to have to go through the same thing. Mm-hmm. So by having a facility here in Canada that puts Canadians at the forefront of what will be manufactured in Canada, we hope we don't have to go through what we've experienced in the past year and a bit.
Right, because you remember the anxiety from the European Union, and I know the United States, for example, had very specific restrictions on things leaving their country. So I mean, is this a case where part of the benefit of having this in Canada is Canada's at the front of the line? Should they need vaccines from this facility, or is that all still to be determined?
No, absolutely. This is part of the solution. The pandemic preparedness brings the entire R&D engine to Canada, the manufacturing engine in Canada, and then that will give access to Canadians should there be a pandemic in the future.
Okay. I want to shift gears slightly if I can, because you've applied to Health Canada for approval for the COVID-19 vaccines for children 6 and under. I mean, how significant is that for Moderna, and where do you think this is in terms of the timeline for a final decision on that?
Yeah. This is actually really significant because when you look at the little ones that don't have, there's no vaccines for the under 5 at this point in time. And I can tell you, I've been receiving tens of emails in the past week or so from parents and healthcare professionals who had seen our data and were really asking us to apply rapidly to Health Canada. We were working in the background on our dossier to Health Canada. So really, really big milestone today that we were able to submit. Health Canada has been an absolute collaborator since the beginning. They are very thorough, rigorous, but we have an open collaboration and they ask us questions as they go. So we're hoping, that the doors are still open if they have questions as they review, and then we'll let them make their decisions on their own timelines.
I know, and I appreciate that it is the regulator's timeline, and I know you don't want to be seen as guessing that, but do you have a sense, based on past experiences with other vaccines, typically how long this takes? We're talking 30 days, 60 days? Could it be a little bit longer? Do you have an idea on that?
It's honestly, I would love to stipulate, but I can't, because
Right.
we've seen different timelines for different vaccines or indications. So I think what we control is that as of June, we could have supply in Canada to vaccinate the little ones, and that's the part that we are focused on now that we've filed to Health Canada.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. So once the approval happens, there's a question of how quickly you can ramp up supply and then have it delivered. But you think these doses could be in the country by June, should the approval go as hoped?
Yes, we could have doses in June.
Okay, enough for the entire population, or have you got an idea of how big that supply might be?
The government of Canada is finalizing as we speak, but I think we'll be able to cover those who want it, definitely.
Okay, Patricia Gauthier, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.